What's up, folks? So back with the Tour X again. Just like I promised, we're going to replace the too short clutch line with a proper sized clutch line. I have not measured, I have not ran the new one yet to see if it's all going to work. We're going to do it together, and we're going to bleed this sucker as well using the syringe technique or tip. So that's what's on the list for today. We're going to crack this thing open. I'm going to show you what we need, what tools we're going to need, and whatever issues I run into, because it's likely going to happen. So hang in there with me and we'll get this thing knocked out together. One of the first steps to taking the old cable off, or in this case it's a brand new cable but it doesn't fit for me, but in your case you're probably going to be replacing one that is wore out or leaking, or you're going to put on higher bars and you just need a new line. So first thing we need to do is take the top line off. I guess if you were actually going to be doing this with a bike that has fluid in it, I would take the bottom one off first, and that way it can drain down. But mine has no fluid in it, and it's a 9/16. So let's get this broken loose here. My part of my bar is still loose, so I think we're good on the wrench for a second. There goes the banjo bolt and the fitting. I'm just going to leave the line hanging down. Here's the banjo bolt. As you can see, when I put this back on here, I wasn't paying attention, and I double stacked the crush washers, which is a no-go. The new kit came with new hardware and new crush washers, so we'll address that when we put the new line on. So next, we're down here at the primary area. So just below here, right on the bottom, right where my finger is here, is where the other line goes in, or the other end of the line goes in. It's going to be a 9/16 just as well. So I'm going to get you down here and get you a little bit closer look. A little bit closer look, we're going to use that same 9/16 wrench, and we're going to remove this line. Have a rag handy with you, because it's likely going to be leaking. Whether you have an old line with fluid in it or not, because this one is too. And I think what I'm going to do is just leave that rag sit down there like that, and then we can pull the old line out. Something to note, if your line's never been off before, or when a new line's been put on, and let's say the hardware's been put back or hasn't, right up here, there's going to be a bolt in there with a clamp, like a hose clamp, and it's going to secure your clutch line from rattling or getting beat up down here by the engine and chassis and whatnot. So that's something you'll have to remove as well. And I'll show you down here. This is just below the floorboard in front of the kickstand, right next to the shift lever. And it's right there. So we've got our old line off, and this is the company I went with to get a custom-made length. So this is the Core Moto Performance brake lines, made in the US, 100% stainless steel, lifetime warranty. And I got 62 inches, it looks like. So we'll set that off to the side. And this is what they sent. So let's open it up. Got a little bit of swag here. That's always good when you spend money. Here's our new hardware, banjo bolts. So inside's much bigger. Not sure if that thread pitch is going to be exactly right or not. We may end up using the old hardware, just using the new crush washers that come with them. Let's get a closer look at those real quick. Really nice looking hardware. Let's see if we can get a comparison. Wipe that guy down for a second. Pretty close. Factory seems to be just a hair longer. I think what we'll do is we'll probably go back with the factory line or the factory hardware. I don't see that there would be much of a problem with these other ones, but I think I just like the factory hardware better. Closer look at the line. These 62 inches. It also comes with these little grommets for vibration areas and issues like that. So really nice looking line. It's got their brand up here. You can actually choose the color you want of the line and even their brand color. So I went with black to match the other ones, and then black and red to match here, and then went with a polished chrome for the fitting. So well, let's go ahead and get these things mounted up and see if we can't get this thing bled. Back up here at the top, we're about to attach the top of our line to our reservoir. This is for our clutch. So you've got your banjo bolt. You'll put your new crush washer on one side, feed it through the fitting, put another crush washer on the other side, and then you'll thread it into the reservoir. And you can tighten it up. And I've got it gluten tight, so that's where we'll leave that. Now let's take a look at the way we've run this line. Starting at the top, we've got it mounted into the reservoir. It comes down and follows the bars, goes in at the top, goes between the triple tree plate, drops down just behind the headlight mount, slides down between the rigid fork and the steering column, steering neck. I've got it coming down right through here. It's going to follow the contour of the chassis, continue to follow the contour of the chassis. That bolt area that I mentioned earlier, it's going to be clamped in there. It's going to come into the bottom and mount into the factory mounting spot. We're back down here at the bottom. We're going to do the same thing to attach the bottom line to the transmission. We got our banjo bolt, we got our newer crush washer. Take our line, feed the banjo bolt through, and apply our new crush washer on the other end. Now it's important that we get this lined up so we don't crush thread it. Get it to screw in as best you can with just your fingers. That's good. Make sure your line's straight. Get your wrench on there and tighten her up. Good and tight. Now we're back under the floorboard where we're going to look at supporting this line with that bracket. This particular line has a little boot, which I'm going to run up here and use later with a zip tie, probably to give it some cushion. But anyways, on your bike, if it's factory, it's probably going to have an Allen head screw right in here. This bike's been replaced with all 12-point hardware. This is what the bracket's going to look like. You want it to be this direction up because the screw's going to go here, the line's going to go below it. So slide it over the line, Squeeze that back down. Make sure you have enough slack. Check my fitment there. Good enough. And that don't have to be super tight, just snugged up. We're just securing that line from vibrating around, and that really does a good job of keeping it secure there. The good thing about these little grommets that they send in with this core moto line is spots like this. This is a really good example right here on this, right on the shift kit bracket here. It's gonna rub, and it's a sharp edge. It's gonna rub right here. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm gonna grab a zip tie and zip tie that in real fast. It would probably be okay without the zip tie, but it's better safe than sorry. To keep that line secure, take your snips, cut it off real tight right there, and that line is good and secure. Once you're good and secure down here on the shift bracket portion, we need to go ahead and secure our line to our chassis. So following the contour of the chassis line, it's pretty secure right here with that zip tie, and what we'll do now, along with securing the electric fan wire, we're going to do them together with this zip tie here. I'm going to put another one right up here to secure those two even better. Grab your snips again. Cut off that excess zip tie. Next thing we need to do is bleed the brake, or bleed the clutch system. We're going to have to take this primary cover off, and we're going to take the reservoir cover off the top as well. Next, we're going to have to remove this primary. Using a T25, break these loose. There's 3 screws here. This is the factory hardware, so these screws are going to be the same as yours, as long as you have factory hardware as well. Be careful not to damage your cover. Set it off to the side with your screws. Now this is what is behind the primary. This right here is what we want to get a hold of. This is our bleeder valve, and this is what we're going to put our rubber line on to bleed with our syringe. Now let's get our bleeding system set up here. We need a 1/4 inch wrench for the bleeder valve. Put the wrench on with the closed end, then you're going to just pop your bleeder hose right over the head of that valve. And then here's your syringe. It's going to be a tight fit, or it's going to be a loose fit, matter of fact, because this bleeder valve is smaller than the other. So it's something you're going to have to be cognizant of while you're going through this process. We may try to put a zip tie on there and see if that'll help. Let's do that real quick and see if that's going to help secure this line. Grab your zip tie. Make sure your line's put on there real good and tight. Now I don't think the zip tie is going to be a good effort. And that is not a great seal. I think what we're going to do is we're going to swap these around, because I believe what's happened is when we use this hose on the other bigger valve, it stretched the hose out a bit. So we're going to take this side off, swap these around. You do have to force it a bit, but it'll go. And now that this side is not stretched out, it fits in there much tighter. Still not a great Still not a great fit, but I think that's going to work a lot better than what we had before. Like in the other video, we talked about where you have to remove this reservoir cap. You make your bib with a slit in a rag. That way you don't make a big mess. Tuck your phrase down in there a bit. Pull your 2 screws out. Once those are out, set them off to the side. What you're going to have here is your top cap. You got a plastic and a rubber diaphragm. Pull them out, set them off to the side. Once those are off to the side, you're going to look down in here and inspect your fluid level, or inspect the fluid condition. This fluid doesn't look really ideal. I don't know how old it is, but the new fluid we have is different. And so what I would like to do is just to go ahead and remove it. So once you got all your old fluid pulled out, obviously that opens the system up to a bunch of air. We're going to wipe that out a bit. Looks like there might be a little bit of dirt down in there. Sure enough. Pretty dirty down in there, actually. There's really no telling the last time this service has been done on this bike. Set your rag off to the side. Go ahead and top her off with the new fluid. Remember, you got to use .5. Back down here at our primary workstation, you definitely want to have plenty of rags out. Next thing we're going to want to do is put your 1/4-inch wrench back on there. Put your valve on. Break your valve loose, making sure you're keeping pressure on that line so it don't come loose. And we're going to start to draw our air through our line. And there's going to be a bunch of it because we've just opened this line, this whole system back up. So as you pull on fluid through it, as you can see, it's causing vacuum. And because we've got all the old fluid out, we didn't have any fluid in our new line, just a lot of air. We're getting purple bubbles through here. Take your line back off and discharge your old fluid. So we pulled all our fluid through. That ain't ideal. We're going to have to top off. So the mistake I made was pulling a little bit too much through on the first go. This time we're not going to do quite as much. So make sure your line's on there. Break your valve loose. Making sure it keeps on there. And pull some fluid through. I'm getting quite a bit of fluid, quite a bit of air as well. Just close it off. And discharge the rest of that into our bucket. That pulled quite a bit through it again. Still got quite a bit of air. Let's go back up and check your top. Each time you pull fluid, you need to go top off. We'll do it again here. Same process. Break your valve loose. Make sure your hose is on there good and tight. And draw all the pressure. Got quite a bit of fluid that time. Now we want to come back up to the top here and take a look. When we go to top off, we want to check our lever. For good measure, I'm going to top it off again, putting your line back on your valve, breaking your valve loose, making sure your line stays on there. And draw some fluid. Top back off. Put our hose back on. Break your valve loose and pull some fluid. Tighten it back off. Pull your line. And discharge your fluid. That was about half the reservoir. Back up at the top. I think what we're going to do now is we're going to do some testing. So I'm going to grab my diaphragms, my lid, my screws, my screwdriver, and we're going to put this back on and seal the top. So diaphragm goes on one way, sits on there just like that. Cap comes over the top, and your screws go in. A little bit of weeping around the side because I got that sucker pretty full. Don't go crazy with these. Just get them snug. Wipe the reservoir down. There. Now let's check our clutch lever. So we've got our system sealed up, and we're checking our clutch. And that feels pretty good to me. Now it feels just like my other bike, which is really, really good. So, as you can see, I've created a bit of a mess here. Next step is to clean everything up, get the bike down, and we're going to test and see if the clutch engages, see what the friction zone is like, and see if this thing worked. So next thing we're going to do is we're just going to test this clutch out and see if it pulls and does what it needs to do. So what we're going to do is we're just going to, obviously the bike's not ready for a full-blown test ride, but we're going to roll it back out of the garage, start it up. We're going to see how it does in the little test that we can do here. Well, folks, I'm really happy with that so far. Next thing we got to do to button everything up is take that wrench off and make sure she's tight. Take that wrench off. We're going to put our primary cover back on. All right. Well, folks, we got it done. Got our new line on here. It fits. It's the right size. It's 62 inches with the fittings. There's no leaks. I checked for leaks. The clutch worked well. Friction point feels good. Everything feels really, really good on it. And we really won't know how perfect I did the brakes and the clutch until we get out, get on the road and start running. But I don't see any problem with it. Everything seems to work just like my 311 Super X. So everything seems good to me. I'm very pleased with it. This was very easy, much easier than the brakes. So if you have any questions about what I did today, drop me a comment. You can get my contact information and we can work it out together. I really think these are some jobs that you can do as long as you have the right tools, simple tools, and the right tips. So we'll continue to make videos on this stuff as we go along. If you have any questions, like I said, reach out to me. Obviously, Mike Seastrom at Valhalla Motorworks, he's got it all. So we're making steps forward on the Tour X. She's almost done. We're waiting on the outer fairing. I'm going to do another Tour X update. It'll be part 3 here sometime this weekend, probably tomorrow on Saturday. And we'll go from there. Appreciate you tuning in and following the content. We'll catch you on the next one.